Welcome back to another episode of Hot Mess Espresso, guys. It's a solo one. This week, I just turned 33. Had the most incredible birthday, surrounded by the most amazing people. But there's something really cool about having a birthday that's right around the beginning of the year. I feel like you not only reflect on the past year, but you also reflect on like who you are like at that age, because mine's 3 days after New Year's. So it's right around that same time. And I decided to switch it up a little bit this year and I'll give you guys 32 things I learned at 32. If you all know me, you know I love humor and all of that, and I wish some of these were going to be funnier, but to be completely honest, last year was a complete shit show and I never want to repeat it again. So a lot of these are going to be more serious. I had a lot of growth, a lot of things happen, a lot of just shit, a lot of shit. So, without further ado, we are going to kind of get through the 32 at 32 and explain some of it, and some of it's pretty self-explanatory. Bear with me. Number one, it's completely okay to start over, but it is also okay to be scared completely shitless. And I feel like that's something I'm currently learning at 33 as well. Obviously, in 2024, and while I was 32, I ended my marriage. I completely started over, don't know what the future holds in the next 6 months, and it's scary, but it's doable, and I know I will figure it out. I've always figured out situations time and time again. But I very much learned the two things can be true rule this year. It's okay to start over, but it is also okay that it is the scariest flippant thing that you are currently working with. There's a whole list. So, number two, this is for my people pleasers. Putting up boundaries does not make you a bad person. And that's really, really hard to learn, but it is something that I am begging everyone to learn. Putting up a boundary does not make you a bad person. Walking away from a job that doesn't serve you and, feeling like you're screwing people over, it doesn't make you a bad person. You need to set those boundaries because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. And number three, this is something that I feel like everyone learns all the time, over and over and over again. And I'm tired of learning this lesson. So hopefully I figure it out this year. But you were their friend, they weren't yours. I feel like that goes without saying. That's something that I definitely kind of learned over and over and over again this year. And to follow up with that, number four, stop expecting you out of people. And that is the most disappointing lesson I feel like I continue to learn because I'm a very empathetic person. I'm a very considerate person. I think, 9 steps ahead. And, either people are just like incapable of that or they just don't want to do that. And that there's nothing wrong with that. But if you start to learn to just not expect what you would do out of other people, I feel like stepping back and kind of continuing to learn that has made me a little bit happier and a lot less disappointed in other people. Number five, hangovers get worse the older you get. And while they get worse, they also require less alcohol every time. I don't really drink much, but I'm telling you right now, if I have like 2, 3 glasses of wine, I can't drink the night before. I'm like, I need to be up and doing something because I am going to be dog ass tired. So basically what I've learned is hangovers get worse. They don't get better. You can't hang like you used to. Number 6, I should have numbered these. I just put little like dots. If someone says you deserve more, believe them. Number 7, you cannot beg, plead, or threaten someone into changing. Like, they will change if they want to. They are not going to change for you. They're going to change for them. Number 8, date the man, not the potential. Or date the woman, not the potential. Like, it goes across the board. That one's been a hard one because people have like the ability to be these incredible humans, but you need to kind of see where they're at and go from there. There's there's a fine line. I understand like working together and working towards something, but if they're not willing to step back and do the work with you and bring you along on that, then you just need to date the person, not the potential. That's actually something I kind of learned from my mom, that she learned from something. I don't know. Number 8 is something that I learned this year being in group coaching, and something I learned from Amy Linnaeus, who will be on the podcast here in the next couple of weeks. But balance is bullshit, and we will go into that more on that episode. So definitely stay tuned for that. But give me a drop in the comments like what you think that means, and you'll find out in the next month. Number 9, life can flip on a dime, and it's okay if you feel like it completely changed you as a person. I learned that lesson way too hard last year, and that is a lesson I was totally fine with never learning. And I definitely feel like it completely started to alter my brain chemistry and who I am as a person and how I see things and my perspective on things. And that's okay. I'd love to dive into it, but it's just still something that really, really gets to me. So we're going to go on to number, I don't even know. It kind of goes with, date the person, not the potential, but it can be, professional, family, whatever. You need to meet people where they're at, not where you want them to be. And that can go for whether it's self-improvement, an interpersonal relationship, anything like that. You need to meet them where they're at, because maybe you've done more growth than they have. Maybe you have seen more shit than they have. You have to kind of take a step back and figure out where they are and go from there. That would be 11. If you get a tattoo for a significant other, it will always bite you in the ass. I got a tattoo for my ex-husband. It's very small, very subtle. You wouldn't know it's a tattoo for him. Thankfully, my sister's also an Aquarius, so it works out. But yeah, that bit me in the ass pretty freaking hard this year. If someone won't change, that is not a reflection of your worth. That is something I started to learn last year, and I feel like I will continue to learn that this year, because I very much struggled with not feeling good enough. I kind of had a little bit of a meltdown like the last weekend in 2024 of just, I was like, why am I not good enough? Like I wasn't good enough for my ex-husband to change. I wasn't good enough for this person to want to take me along the journey. I wasn't good enough for this. It has nothing to do with my worth. And I know that it has everything to do with where they're at in life. And it just doesn't, the math doesn't math. So number 14, if there's someone in your life that's always right, stop trying to prove them wrong. One of these days, I will stop arguing with my sister and being like, no, they're not the person that you're looking me dead in the face and telling me that they're this person, because within 6 months, I'm going to be exactly where you tell me I'm going to be at, and the situation's going to be exactly where you said it was. So hopefully I just learn to kind of take her advice. She's not the end all be all, but she does read situations very well, and I'm very grateful to have that. So that'd be some information you guys should definitely take to heart. Number 15, get the cat. Just get the cat. I don't know how to explain it, but having Finn this year has been the absolute best. We've had him for almost a year now. Give or take like a week. I think like a week, maybe 10 days. And he has just been the perfect addition. He's the chillest cat in the world. Granted, I flew across the country to get him, but either way, just get the cat. Just get it. Stop putting a timeline on yourself. I definitely kind of had some points this year where I felt like I should be getting things done quicker, especially things with the podcast should be, different or at a different level, or I felt like I needed to hurry up because I was completely starting over with a lot of things at 32. The podcast has taken a couple of pivots. My career restarted in September, and I need to stop putting a timeline, because the universe has this really cool thing where they look at your timeline and they go, nah. So stop putting a timeline on yourself. It's only going to stress you out. It may actually hinder your goals. It may actually hinder the steps you need to take, because you're just too focused on 8 steps ahead and you're not focusing on, the puddle jump in front of you, basically. Trust your gut. My gut has never steered me wrong. ever. Every time I ignore it, it does not end well. And I think, as women, as millennials, as people, we need to start listening to our intuition and trust it. Because whether you believe in a higher power or the universe or you don't believe in anything, it's something that never steers you wrong. And if you really just step back and listen to it, it'll guide you in the right direction. If something feels like it's off or if it's wrong for you, listen. Because if you keep pushing that, it's going to end up way worse than you even remotely anticipated. 14, 15, 16, 17. I really should have numbered these guys. If someone wants to, they will. That has to do with family, friends, relationships, all of that. I was shown time and time again that if someone wanted to, the mountains would be moved, that even if plans were bailed on, they would be remade. I don't ask for much out of friendships, relationships, any of that. And I'm very confident in that now. So if someone wants to, they will. And then to top that, number 18, someone that values you won't put you or themselves in a position to lose you. And that's very, very hard. I went through a breakup earlier, or a few weeks ago, a couple months ago. It's almost a couple months. But I went through a breakup and I was like, maybe like I looked, what's the word? Maybe they'll come back around, or, maybe they didn't want to lose me, but they need to find themselves. And that's what I worked with. And then I saw this quote and then it was like, someone that values you won't put you or themselves in a position to lose you. And I'm like, holy shit, you're right. Because that person is risking circling back around, because they always circle back around. And for me to be either like completely moved on and not dealing with that shit anymore, or finding someone else. However, the bonus lesson for this past year is stay single until someone matches your energy. Because the other thing I did learn in that relationship is that the things that I was asking for, it's more than capable of happening. And now that I know that, I'm not settling for less. So, and then I'm on the Are We Dating the Same Guy pages. And that tells me everything I need to know about today's dating. And I'm all set. I don't even know. We're not counting. We're just going to the next one. Buy the concert ticket. I'm telling you right now, just buy it. Just go. Go by yourself, drag a friend, something, but go. One I learned in June. Don't sit on a driveway in shorts if you have nerve damage. Why, you may ask? Because I have nerve damage from spinal surgeries and I can't feel the, upper part of my leg onto where, my cheeks are. And I sat on a driveway in the middle of June and got 3rd-degree burns. And that was a whole mess. I had surgery to repair it. Like, it's the worst spot to get stitches in. Like, I pulled the stitches. Absolute nightmare. 0 stars. Do not recommend. Do not do that. Learn from me. Put something down or just sit in the freaking grass. What's the next one? You don't have to stick to the script you wrote for yourself. And that one was super, super hard for me to learn, because I am very I have all of these goals, I have this plan, and I don't do well with change. I'm the one causing a lot of the change and a lot of the chaos, but I do not do well with change. So when things aren't going according to the pre-written script that I have in my head, and this is just how it's going to be, it's very, very difficult. And at the same time, I don't have to stick to it. I can rewrite it. It can be edited. Things can be added in, things can be taken out, and that's okay. Friends come from the strangest of places. It was a huge lesson I learned this year. I met people this year that I just came from the most unlikely of places, and I'm forever grateful for that. They're some of my closest circle, and I don't know what I would do without them. A big one. Pay attention to who shows up for you. It is a very hard lesson to learn, but you pay attention, because the next point, just kidding, not the next point. It's a little bit further down, but next point, because you also need to pay attention to who gives and takes and who just takes, because you cannot be bleeding out for someone that won't take a paper cut for you. And it's hard because if you're an empathic person like me and you're understanding and you're, considerate and you want to like give people the benefit of the doubt, we're the kind of people that those types leech onto. And it drains us and they're fulfilled and we are just shells of human beings. So that is a big, big, big one. If you're happy and you know it, shake your damn meds. I got on meds in November or December. I got on meds in December. It had just kind of been a long, rough year with a lot of things that just kind of spiraled my depression and my other issues into high drive. And I pulled my head out of my ass and I went to my doctor just for like a regular physical. And we were talking about how the ADHD meds weren't working. And my doctor talked about being on Wellbutrin, which also helps focus for people that don't do well on ADHD meds. And I don't. I get crippling anxiety and I just feel like I'm drunk all the time. And that's just not a feeling I want to be dealing with. So I got on Wellbutrin and I can stay in my house by myself now, which is really nice. And when I'm depressed, I just like have a really hard time being in the silence of the house or just being by myself. So I basically practically lived at my sister's for a month straight. And I'm very grateful that she was around, but definitely getting on meds and, with them kicking in and upping my dose, like, yeah, my focus is better, but also my mood's better. So if you feel like you need to get on meds, get on them. There's no shame in that. There's no extra sticker you get for not being on them and just basically raw dogging it. Like, just don't. Like, if you need it, you need it. Next point, low contact and not engaging in someone's bullshit is a lifesaver. I know it's really hard. It's really hard when someone says something really stupid and out of pocket and just absolutely just baiting you. Don't take the bait. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't help you. It furthers their narrative and they don't deserve that from you. And it's so hard. It's something I've had to learn over the last like 4 years. I actually had someone tell me that I'm not fun anymore because they would try to straight up bait me and I wasn't taking the bait anymore. And now all of a sudden it's not fun. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm so sorry that I ruined arguing for you. But it has been absolutely amazing. But also to kind of work on the med thing or kind of play off of the med thing, take the bed rot days. It's hard. All of this is hard. Life is hard. Being alive is hard. We get it. But I used to never do bed rot days because I was like, if I'm home, I need to be productive. I need to be in the office. I need to be, doing something for the pod or the studio. I need to be doing that. And I would beat myself up because I wasn't cleaning. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing that. But I have found that the days, they're few and far between, but the days that I just literally just don't do anything and I binge watch like either Schitt's Creek or Sons of Anarchy for the 85th time are days that I can shut my brain off for the most part. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, what, I can do this. I can get it done. So it is very important to do the bed rot days. I know that it feels like they're not useful. They are. They're very useful. They're vital. Next point, gym is awful but necessary. And if you're my trainer listening to this, I promise I'm getting in this week. Oh my God. I took like a month off from the gym because, depression. And I know it helps my mental health. I just could not get myself to go. And I'm noticing that my body's changing and I hate it. My back hurts more and I also hate it. So go. It is coming from somebody who quit going for a month and I have not taken longer than a week off, maybe like 2 when I was recovering from surgery in 4 years, over 4 years. And this has not been fun. So it's terrible. I am not the person that's like, I feel so rejuvenated from my workout and I'm so glad I went. I'm never glad I went. I never am. Long term, I'm glad I went, but I am never glad to have dragged my ass in there and worked out. Unless I'm extra ragey. And then I'm like, well, I feel slightly better. Allow yourself to sit in your feelings. And I know, to kind of circle back, I had said that I went to my sister's all the time. Well, I was like really depressed, but that was like, I was letting myself feel, but I didn't want to wallow. And I did a lot of crying. a lot of crying for like a month. And finally I was like, I haven't cried in 3 days. And my sister's like, thank God. Because she doesn't do well with crying. She's literally like the person that's like 10 feet away with like a pole, like there. Oh, she's glad I'm not crying anymore. But I really had to process a lot of shit that happened in 2024. And sitting with my feelings was really fucking hard. It was so hard and I hated every second of it. But I feel like I've now come out the other side where I'm functional, honestly. If I just pushed it down and, sucked it up and just kept going and not acknowledged the fact that I was going through some shit, I would be a much bigger mess that was not hot in the slightest. So I'm very glad that I did that. And that's something that I will always tell people. You have to allow yourself to sit in your feelings. I know they suck. I know we don't like feeling the feelings, but you need to. Not everything requires a response. And for someone who my dad told me for years, well, actually, both my parents told me for years that you should be a lawyer because you like to argue so much. That was a lesson and a half for me to learn that sometimes you don't need to send the paragraph. You don't need to prove your point. You don't need to anything. You just, an okay, or even just nothing. Just leave that shit unread or just stare them dead in the face and just let them do what they need to. And on top of that, like as a bonus, let them burn the bridge. Let them think the way that they need to. Let them, that's fine. And very, very last, even in a shitty year, have some sort, it can be literally like a freaking sequin size amount of hope, but things will start looking up. And I know I literally went through 2024 being like, this shit's not, it's one thing after another, after another, after another. Like, what the fuck? Like, I literally had done this thing on TikTok where I saw it in my memories. Like at the end of 2023, I was like, as we approach 2024, I am begging this year or the universe to like cut it out with the character development, work on somebody else. And I just had to stitch it. And I'm just sitting there like, um, we're just going to get through 2025. And so far, knock on all the wood, I can't really knock on it because my dog will lose her shit if she hears something knocking. Knock on wood, things have looked up. I, have left a lot of people in 2024. And I realize it's just another day. But for me, there's a lot of symbolism with the year ending and like my age turning. So I absolutely adore you all. Tune in next week. I cannot wait to start bringing you the things that I've been working on behind the scenes and the people that I've come in contact with that are coming on and just all of the things that we're doing for HME. But as always, take care of yourself. It's really hard with the hustle culture and everything else going on in this world. And there's just so much shit. And trust me, I'm feeling it too. But just do your best to take care of yourself. And, as always, stay hot and stay fucking messy.